Hey guys, how's it going? It is Mr. Graves here to help you guys review for your elections and political parties test that's coming up on Monday. So let's go ahead and get started so we can get through as many of these as we possibly can. Let's start with our lesson on the Electoral College. Number one, it's a pretty basic question. What is the Electoral College? It's pretty simple. The Electoral College, remember, definition of college can be two different things. The definition we're looking at is a group of people with similar ideas that want to affect change. And the electoral part of that is obviously electing presidents. The Electoral College is a group of people with similar ideas and beliefs who cast electoral votes in the presidential election. It's basically the process by which the U.S. president is selected. It's in the Constitution. Now, when you're talking about elections, you can't get around talking about the two different main types of votes. You have the popular vote and the electoral vote. Remember, the popular vote is just the total number of votes that are cast. If you take all the people around the United States who cast a vote, and the last election was a little over 120 million people, the popular vote is all of those people. Who did they vote for? Did 51% of them vote for Barack Obama? Did 49% of them vote for Mitt Romney? That is the popular vote. You take all the votes that are cast, add them up, that's the popular vote. Well, that doesn't really decide the presidency and who wins the presidential election. Just because you have more popular votes than your opponent doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Usually you do end up winning. But there have been cases like 2000 when George Bush, he actually had fewer popular votes than Al Gore, but he still won the election because he had more electoral votes. And that's what matters with the Electoral College. Kind of makes sense. Electoral College, electoral vote. The electoral votes are the votes that each state gets based on the population of your state. So Georgia, we have 16 electoral votes based on our population. California has 55. The number 16 for Georgia, that's our electoral votes, is not just a random number. What you do to figure out how many votes each state gets, you look at their population, and that's judged by looking at how many members they have in the House of Representatives. Remember, the number of representatives a state gets in the House is based on the population of that state. So you take that number, Georgia, we have 14 members in the House of Representatives. Then you add the 2 senators that every state has, as every state has 2 senators, an equal number. That gives you 16. So that's how many electoral votes Georgia gets. Now here's where the popular vote does matter. Inside each state, what they do is they take the popular vote for the citizens that voted in that state, in whichever candidate, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump in this election, has more popular votes in that state, like Georgia, they will get all 16 of our electoral votes. Whatever candidate gets the most popular votes in California will get all 55 of their electoral votes. So it's kind of how it works. I just answered number 3 about how they decide electoral votes. Number 4, to win the presidency, you have to get 270 electoral votes. It's the first person to 270 electoral votes. Okay? There are also 2 different types of elections. There's a primary election and a general election. The first one is obviously the primary election. The word primary means first or before. So the primary election comes first, and the purpose for number 5 of the primary election is to select each party's candidate to run for president. Okay, who is going to be the nominee, the candidate for the Republican Party and the Democratic Party? Because in the primary election, the Republicans are going against the Republicans. Donald Trump was going against another Republican, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush. Hillary Clinton, in her primary election, was going against other Democrats like Bernie Sanders. And the whole thing is, I want to be that one Republican, that one Democrat. After you win the primary election, number 6, they have a big national convention in the summer. And at the national convention, the Republicans have a national convention, the Democrats have a national convention. Basically, it's just one big party. And it's not really necessary to have, but they have it because it's free advertisement, because they televise the 3-day event. And at the national convention, you have a lot of speakers giving speeches, you have endorsements and testimonials, the nominee's family speaks, and then the last night, the candidate himself, the nominee or herself, comes out and gives a speech. So really what happens at the party's national convention is the party nominates their candidate for president. Of course, if you win the primary election, you're already going to be the nominee, but they make it official at the national convention. Now, number 7 is the general election. So after the primary election, you're going to have one Republican and one Democrat left standing. And then they're going to duke it out and fight each other in the general election, which is what's happening right now. You have one Republican, Donald Trump, versus one Democrat, Hillary Clinton. So for the general election, what occurs is a president will be selected. The winner will be the president. Number 8, What is the person chosen to run as a party's candidate in the general election called? They call that a nominee. You're the nominee for that party. And number 9, when is the general election held? It's the first Tuesday after the first Monday of each year. Kind of a weird thing, but that's how it works out. So now let's move on to our lesson on political parties. Okay, number 10, what is a political party? A political party is a group of people that have similar ideas and beliefs, but you can't stop there. There's a lot of groups of people with similar ideas and beliefs, but that doesn't always mean they're a political party. So a political party is a group of people with similar ideas and beliefs who want to affect or influence the government. They want to influence the government, get laws passed, change policy, that kind of thing. Number 11, the two main political parties, obviously the Democrats and Republicans. Number 12, what does it mean to be politically independent? If you are an independent voter, that means you do not belong to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. You are an independent. When you go in to vote, you're going to vote for either Republican or Democrat most of the time, but you don't always vote for Republican. You don't always vote for a Democrat. Each election you take independently and vote how you feel about those two particular candidates. Okay, number 13, what is a platform? A platform is a statement of belief. So when they get in the national convention, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, both set forth their platforms, which is what they believe, the agenda that they want to accomplish if their candidate wins the presidency, basically what they want to do with the government. Number 14, the roles of political parties. Really, let's just talk about a couple of these. The first one is to educate voters. Political parties, their job is to let voters know, hey, here's what we believe, here's what's going on. And they do a pretty good job of that. The second role is to raise money. That is a big part of a political party, to raise money. We talked about how expensive campaigns are. Hillary Clinton's raised $1.3 billion at this point. Donald Trump's raised almost $800 million. It's a lot of money. It's hard for them to do that on their own, really impossible to do on your own. So the political parties help you raise money. They have fundraisers. They call people. They have people that work for them to go out and raise money. They also give voters a clear choice on the election, on who you're voting for. So those are a couple of the roles of political parties. Number 15, how are local parties organized? Remember that, so there's different levels of political parties. You start at the top with the national party, the national committee. Then you go down to the state central committee. Then you go a little bit further down, you go to the county central committee. And then you go even further down, you go to the ward, and then the smallest unit of a political campaign and of a political party would be the precinct. Okay, a precinct would be the smallest one. Number 16, what is the role of the state central committee? That essentially is to get the word out in the state, organize the state political party. Number 17, what is the role of the national committee? That is mainly, they have more than one role, but their main role is to raise money, to fundraise for the candidate. All right, let's move on to our lesson on campaign advertising. You guys had a full lesson on this. You had a DBQ on this as well on Friday, so you should be pretty familiar with it. Number 18, what is a campaign slogan? It's a catchy phrase that basically sets the idea for what the candidate is all about. Okay, what do they believe in? It's a short, brief little catchphrase that people kind of attach themselves to that support a candidate. Number 19, define each of these advertising strategies. A testimonial, endorsements, those are very similar. Testimonials and endorsements both involve a famous person or a prominent person coming out and supporting a political candidate. It could be, sometimes it's very important to have another politician support you. So if like the governor of Georgia came out and supported Donald Trump, well, that would influence a lot of voters in Georgia to vote for Donald Trump. Since our governor supports him, a lot of people in Georgia would now support Donald Trump. Not everybody, but a lot of people would. Or it could be someone famous like LeBron James came out and supported Hillary Clinton a month or so ago. So those are endorsements. A testimonial is a little different. It's a famous person or an influential person supporting a candidate, but they also do so like the testimonial is more so they have a personal connection, a political or a personal story that they can tell about that candidate and why they support them. Stacking the deck is where candidates only say the positive things about themselves. They really point out and highlight all the good things they've done and all the positive things in their career, and they just completely ignore all the negative things, which is what we all do. It's not anything different than anyone, but that is a stacking the deck. Plain folks is where candidates really just try to act like an average guy or girl. They just try to act like one of the people. People want to vote for someone they connect with. They're not going to vote for someone who they think is an elitist or really arrogant and thinks they're better than them. They want to vote for someone who's like them. They want to see themselves in the candidate. So plain folks is when you have a candidate starts using the words and language and the accents of the people that he's talking to. Roll your shirt sleeves up. And just don't act like you're some big shot. Act like you're just a normal guy. E, an attack ad or a negative ad. That's where you are, in your ad, you are criticizing your opponent. You are attacking them. You're saying negative things about them, pointing out all the bad things about your opponent, which it happens a lot as you get closer and closer to an election. If you watch the news right now, you're seeing a lot of them as we get close to this election. The next one, glittering generalities. These are like the campaign slogans, those little catchphrases that kind of grab your attention. Glittering generalities. And then G, guilt by association. This is when you try to basically attach your candidate to someone else that they were associated with, someone who has not done a good job. So with the presidential election going on right now, Donald Trump has tried to attack Hillary Clinton with guilt by association. He's criticized the Obama campaign and the emergence of ISIS and the healthcare disasters, or not disasters, what they call disasters. But he says Hillary Clinton was a part of that. She was a part of the Obama administration. She's got blood on her hands. Just because she was in the Obama administration doesn't mean she made those decisions, but she's guilty by association. Vice versa, coattailing is where you kind of grab on the coattails of the person who came before you. A lot of times, if you were the vice president and the president that you served under was really popular, well, after his terms are up, maybe you want to run for president. And you might have a head start because you were riding on his coattails. You were associated with him in a good way because that president was popular, and you have a chance to really kind of take the presidency by storm because you're associated with that popular president. Okay, next thing here, lesson on campaign finance. Why do campaigns cost money? Very simply, in a broad base, they are very long and they are huge. You have to cover the entire United States, and you have to travel all across the country. One day you're here, one day you're there, and they last for years. A political campaign doesn't last 2 or 3 months. It lasts for years. As soon as you win one election, you kind of go ahead and start raising money for the next election because it takes so much money. You can't just wait till the last minute. So they're big. They cover a lot of ground. They cost a lot of money. I think you got to buy all the TV ads. You got to pay your campaign workers. You got to buy the merchandise or make the merchandise that you're going to sell. You got to pay rent on all the buildings you're going to have in the different states. You got to transport yourself. It's a lot of money. Number 21, what is the difference between campaign donations and campaign spending? Campaign donations is the money that the candidates get from people who support them. And the campaign spending is when they go and spend that money on advertisements and things like that. Number 22, the purpose of campaign finance rules is to limit the possibility of corruption. If you have a lot of really rich people, rich corporations donating millions and millions of dollars to political candidates, if those candidates win, they're going to feel like they owe those businesses and those people something. So maybe they're going to pass some laws to help them out, which is like taking a bribe. That's corruption. PACs and super PACs are similar in some ways, but they're a little bit different. A PAC is a political action committee. PACs, there is a limit to how much you can donate to a PAC. A PAC can also contribute money directly to a person's campaign, directly to the Donald Trump campaign or the Hillary Clinton campaign. Super PACs are a little different. They cannot donate directly to a political campaign. They have to do it independently. But there's also no limit on how much money can be donated to a super PAC. So different there. The next thing here, let's scroll down, this is important. You got to pay attention to this. The Citizens United case versus the Federal Election Commission. Who was involved in this case? You had two groups. Citizens United was an interest group, and the Federal Election Commission is the group that's supposed to be watching and enforcing all of the campaign finance laws. What was the case about? Citizens United wanted to donate as much money as they wanted to political candidates. The Federal Election Commission said you can't do that. It's against the campaign finance laws. So Citizens United, that group, sued, and 26, when was the case decided? The case was decided in 2009. Number 27, where was the case heard? It was heard by the Supreme Court of the United States. And number 28, why is this decision important in campaign finance? It's important because it allowed for the creation of super PACs. Super PACs were allowed to be created after the Citizens United case. They were not around prior to that. All right, guys, that's really one thing. Let's get down to number 34 here. How does mass media impact public opinion? It can influence your ideas by what you see. Traditional media sources would be broadcast media like TV, the internet and print media like newspapers and magazines. New media sources would be social media, blogs, talk shows, comedy shows. Number 36, the role of free press democracy is to be a watchdog for the government.